Hour number 2 of The Odd Couple on a Magic City Monday. Rob Parker, Kelvin Washington. We're broadcasting live from the TireRack.com studios. TireRack.com will help you get there. An unmatched selection, fast, free shipping, free road hazard protection, and over 10,000 recommended installers. That's right, TireRack.com, the way tire buying should be. Coming up in about 28 minutes, Rod Woodson, the Hall of Fame DB and Fox Sports Radio NFL analyst. He'll join us, and we'll dissect some football stuff, no doubt about it. We got that and much more as we continue to dive into some football that took place yesterday, including those pathetic Raiders.
Yeah.
I wanted to call them like
something fireable?
Los Angeles. No, I was going to call them like every place they've been. Oakland, Los Angeles, then I realized they're in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, well, I don't blame you. We don't have enough time for you to name all the places they've been.
Exactly. But this was like so almost predictable. I mean, after they were being dominated by Baltimore, and for whatever reason, Baltimore gave it up at the end. I think the Raiders scored 13 points in the fourth quarter, beat them. So then you figure you got to win like that. You could build off of it. Kelvin, you beat Baltimore.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a perennial team that most people think has a chance to go to the Super Bowl. So you take that, and now here comes the woeful Panthers. You're not on the road. You're in Las Vegas. This should be money, a layup.
Yeah.
Right? You're 2-1. You're off to a good start. The hiring of Antonio Pierce. Oh, this makes sense. Look at they're playing for him, all this. And instead, they lay an egg. They're frauds. Kelvin, frauds. You can't let Raggedy Andy come in, throw 3 touchdowns and over 300 yards. You know he's the first quarterback this year to throw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns?
Yeah. And you know what he told you, too?
Against the Raiders. What did he tell us?
Put some respect on my name. He was talking to you.
He's talking to me?
He was talking to you. I saw it. You didn't. They put it. Elijah, you ain't put it on social media. Yeah, he said it to you. He said, "Tell Rod Parker put some respect on my name." He said it just like Birdman too. He had the Birdman hands like he was rubbing them like this. Put some respect on my name, just like that.
And he had respect with a K. Is that what he said?
RESPEK. Put some respect on my name. You was this. I'm just telling you what the street said. You was calling him Raggedy Andy and all that, and he ain't like it. He listens to the show.
But I'm saying, ain't no way the Raiders should have given up that game. Rob G. He's the resident.
Before you bring
guy.
Rob G in, resident Raider fan, the only reason it was a horrible loss. You coming off a big win. You hope it's momentum. Maybe you know how we've all done this. You played sports. Everybody, I'm assuming here, most of us at least play sports. Sometimes you're thinking a game or two ahead, right? Oh, man, we got to play. Ooh, because you already know.
The Raiders are looking ahead? How are they looking ahead?
Because they were looking at the Panthers like this is the lowly Panthers, so lowly that their number one pick that they gave up $27 million assets to get, they've benched him. We got the Panthers coming to town. Oh, they already making plans, bro. They are, I'm hitting about to do this, about to get into that. They're not even thinking about the Panthers. And they actually forgot they had to play a game. But I want to go to you, Rob G, because Rob said fraud, and I would say, didn't you have to think thought you were good to be a fraud? None of us thought the Raiders were. How can I call you a fraud when I thought you were bad?
Because they beat the Ravens on the road. That's
so
why.
So then maybe the Ravens are fraudulent.
So no, maybe we thought that the Raiders were actually better than our estimation coming into the season because they won a game that they had no business winning. But then they fell right back into who they are.
Don't put me in that
with a capital F.
Don't put me in that we unless you speak in French. You talking about we didn't think. I thought, what's wrong with the Ravens? That's how we talked about the Eagles. You said that was an epic collapse. What did I say, Rob G? I said the Ravens to me that weekend was a big collapse. You can't be up against this bad Raiders team running the ball. Don't even give Derrick Henry, who we saw, this is what happens when you give him the ball. I'm more mad at the Ravens for that loss. I didn't think the Raiders were all of a sudden good. So Rob G is the resident fan here.
He's the resident.
Are they fraudulent or just this is what they are? What we thought they were.
Rob Parker is right. They are frauds.
Thank
I will
you.
come in that
But
studio.
first, before you mentioned that they were overlooking the Panthers, right? Because the Panthers are so bad. They just lost by 40,
Right.
back-to-back games. They got a new quarterback. Here's the thing, though. This happens every year with the Raiders. Flashback, 2022. Jeff Saturday's first game as a coach with the Colts beats the Raiders.
Man,
Yep.
Remember that phase?
Yeah.
That same
Yeah, you just blew me
season,
away. I
You
forgot
gotta
he was a
remember
coach.
that. That's right.
that same season, Baker Mayfield was this close to being out of football entirely. He gets picked up by the Rams 2 days before the game.
Oh, yeah.
And guess who
Beats
he beat?
the Raiders.
Yes, indeed.
Okay. Then last season, Antonio Pierce was on the staff last year. They go into Chicago. The quarterback is hurt. No Justin Fields. They're going to get undrafted rookie Tyson Bagent.
Who?
Exactly. We lost that game too. Like the Raiders,
Sound
this
like
is
a
what
model.
we do historically as a franchise. But as far as Antonio Pierce goes, Antonio Pierce is the first coach that I can remember in all of NBA, NFL, Major League Baseball, whatever, to get hired strictly off of vibes. Because there has been nothing going back through his coaching career, if you can call it that,
Because he coached in high school, right?
that would suggest that he'd be a successful NFL coach. His only time before getting this Raiders gig as being a head coach at any level was Long Beach Poly High School. If you live in LA, Kelvin, I know you're
Powerhouse.
new here.
I've been
They
here
are
13 years, yeah.
powerhouse in high school football. Antonio Pierce's second season on the job, they missed the playoffs for the first time in 36 years.
Wow.
Okay, then he moves on to Arizona State. He's going to coach linebackers with Herm Edwards and Marvin Lewis. Get the band back together. He eventually takes over as defensive coordinator in 2021. His one season there. They're okay. He immediately has to resign for recruiting violations. Gets the Raiders gig. He's the interim guy. Again, he says Raiders really loud so people like him. He lets Max Crosby smoke cigars in the locker room. People like him. They totally forgot that they lost 3-0 to Minnesota in a game they had to have.
Who was pitching that game?
Exactly. That they had an outside chance at the playoffs. As bad as they were, outside chance, they fumble away a game in week 15 and it eliminates that too. But because he's cool, he's from Compton, he drives an old car, again, he has the hype behind him of
There
being
are a lot
Raider
of things
fan,
to like. I
that,
get
that
it.
people thought that he would be some kind of football savior, and he's not. He's just a guy who gets along great with the two best players.
Can I throw something at you?
Yes.
I think fans maybe the organization looking at him and seeing in their mind Mike Tomlin. Tough guy, great quotes, got to bring that bravado. We're like, yeah, I want to run through a wall for him. And I think maybe they're looking at him saying, this can be our West Coast Mike Tomlin, except he's not doing and producing what Mike Tomlin has done. The only thing I will say, and I'm not a fan of this in sports organizations that pick the sport, you got to let somebody cook for a minute. Let's say he does end up just being terrible. Well, give somebody 2-3 years. All right, you know what? They were terrible because they went 8-9 last year.
But you don't need to. Here's my pushback on that. Nathaniel Hackett, when he went to Denver, everybody knew he was a bad coach. You're not going to allow him to have 3 years. He got fired after his first year because it was obvious he was over his head is all I'm saying.
That's a fair point. But
okay?
I'm saying with Antonio Pierce, weren't we just saying last year, oh, look at him, he's got this team, they're 8-9, we didn't expect that. They're kind of going, they're going somewhere. So my point is, what I don't want to do in a relationship, whether it be personal, romantic, friendship, I don't want to do this. Up and down roller coaster. Like if I'm going to roll with you, I'm going to roll with you, and then I'm going to say, all right, it's time to move on.
But you also have to look at, and I'm not saying they should be fired after this game. All I'm saying is this is typical rate. Nothing's really changed. And the big thing in the offseason before they gave him the job and took away the interim tag was that they didn't talk to anybody else. And that when you're the Raiders, and I know, Rob G, how much money do they owe coaches? Like they paid a gazillion.
And they just gave it to a massive windfall by moving to Vegas.
Right.
Mark Davis went from being one of the most cash-poor owners in all of football to one of the most cash-rich just by moving to Vegas. The value shot up. And, Kelvin, I like your point about Mike Tomlin. That's a good comparison. The only difference was Mike Tomlin, when he was in Minnesota, actually called plays for the defense.
Oh yeah,
Antonio Pierce, through this point in his career, has only ever been the cosign guy. He has not once called an offense, called the defense, get a game plan together one way or the other. And if you can't do that, then you cannot have times where your calling card is being a motivational guy, and you have repeatedly had games where your team was not ready to go.
Well, you heard what he said, right? Do you have that sound? I don't know if you have. You got it? Let me hear it.
Let's hear it. Yeah.
No, they didn't. I think as the game went on, I don't think it was a team. I think there was definitely some individuals that made business decisions, and we'll make business decisions going forward as well.
See, that's a Mike Tomlin type walk-off podium, walk-off, drop the mic. Woo! They're going to like that around here.
The business decisions was what? They didn't want to tackle or play rough?
Yeah, that's what he was saying. That's what he was saying. The game's over.
I'm not going to get hurt out here, right? And all that.
Listen, I go back to my point when you were saying, oh, man, they get a big game against the Ravens. And I just didn't. I had zero expectations. You had no expectations. I'm about to make you say bless me. Guard Minshew.
Gesundheit.
I didn't expect much from them at all.
But you didn't expect them to beat the Panthers? I'm asking you seriously. When you say no expectations, but you expected them to beat the Panthers at home in Las Vegas.
That's fair. I guess I'm going more full season.
Okay,
like I didn't walk away.
Just saying, I'm coming off of that.
I'll give you that.
Ain't no way, even with Raggedy Andy at quarterback.
Respect on his name.
You still didn't think that the Panthers would come in to Las Vegas.
Completely didn't expect. And not only just they didn't eke out a win. Andy Dalton looked like what he probably looked like in high school, like balling. And by the way, since you don't want to respect on the Red Rifle's name, can you at least put some respect on Andy Dalton's haircut? Listen, if my hair grew like a white guy's hair, like that would be the haircut I would have. The haircut was popping. He was throwing touchdowns. He was feeling himself. Let's see what happens 9 months, 10 months from now. He might have a baby on the way because he probably came home feeling himself, Rob G. You know about that. That's why you got a couple now.
Is that what happens?
Yeah, you come home feeling yourself. Something went good, and you looking good. Maybe you went invited to an event. You and your lady, you're smelling good, looking good, and she like, well, you know what? I am with him. If she calls you capital him, HIM, ooh, he is him. You know you winning. That's why you out here having weekend events for the baby. You was him one night. That's what happened.
All it takes is one night.
Yeah, just listen. When you got to take it as you can get it. When you get married, you start involving kids. Rob G. said, look, when the kids come in, Rob Park, you don't know nothing about this.
No.
When you can, okay. And as the resident, I think unless Steve got something I don't know about, I have the most kids on set here. Trust your boy.
Okay, I understand.
Okay, when you can get a win, you got to get your wins.
877-99 on Fox.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm still laughing. I made myself laugh. All right, so we want to get back to that. Raiders, jump in on this. Rob's calling them frauds. I'm saying I never thought I had any expectations of it anyway. And also, you can jump in on, you saw Andy Dalton, the Red Rifle there. Did that justify the Bryce Young benching, or do you maybe feel some type of way about that benching, saying it wasn't right? We want to hear from you again, 877-99 on Fox. Hit us up. Jump in on that. We are, of course, I'll do that a little bit later on. So hit us up. We're going to talk about that. Rod Parker, Kelvin Washington, Fox Sports Radio.
But we're going to take a little detour on this Funky Flashback Friday and talk baseball. It's hard to stay away from it after what Shohei Ohtani did yesterday. Because, Kelvin, it was unbelievable. 3 home runs, 10 RBI, went 6 for 6, all that stuff.
Couple stolen bases.
And I got to say this. I was on MLB Network today, and I was on MLB Now with Brian Kenny. And people are going over the top. Okay, I get it. First 50-50. But there was all this, he's the greatest player that ever played baseball. He's a great player. Oh, my God. Was that the greatest game ever played, for a guy at the plate? 6 for 6. He had 3 home runs. Oh, my God, all this stuff. Can you pump the brakes? And let me say this.
Go ahead.
A, it is not the greatest performance at the plate for a hitter in a game. A guy named Mark Whitten for the St. Louis Cardinals had 4 home runs and 12 RBI, okay, which ties the record for the most RBIs in the game. So he didn't even break that record. He had 3 home runs. 1 came off a non-pitcher, a position player who was mopping up that disgusting game. What was it, 20-4, the Dodgers won. Number 2, as great of a season as Shohei has had, because no one had ever done 50-50. He has 50 home runs, right, and 51 stolen bases. Great. No one's taking it away from him.
Sound
Great.
like you're about to.
But, it's a big but.
Meg the Stallion?
Yes. He's not even having the best season this year. Aaron freaking Judge is having a better year than Shohei Ohtani, and that's with the 50-51, the 50-50 club, the first time anybody in baseball history has ever done it.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Judge's WAR, are you into WAR? Where are all the pencil geek guys who are all into that, pencil pen protectors?
Mm-hmm.
His WAR is 10.2. Ohtani's is 7.7. 5 players have a better WAR than Ohtani. So when you talk about this, being a prisoner of the moment, he's the greatest player. He's not the greatest player ever. He's not having the greatest season of all time. Ronald Acuna had a pretty darn good year last year as well.
Without a doubt.
Okay? And had more than 50 stolen bases.
73, I believe. Yep.
Okay? Aaron Judge, go look at his numbers.
I am.
They're through the roof. They're better. Ohtani's not even batting 300. I'm not trying to diminish what he's done, but can you have some context to it?
That actually is where I come in on the opposite side of this. Context leads me back to Ohtani. So you go, who did you say Mark Whitten had 4 home runs and 12 RBIs?
But yes, that's the record.
Did he do it?
RBIs.
Did he do it with all eyes watching to see if he was going to break and set a new record?
No.
So Ohtani, what makes him special, what you seem to keep missing, which is why I think, shout out to the bosses who brought me in and were like, bring some sense to this man, is that it's not always about just strictly numbers, meaning WAR, okay? Right, I get it. He has better wins above replacement. However,
you see the difference in the 2 WARs?
Right, that's I hear you, about a three points you said there. Also, timing matters. You know what Aaron Judge ain't been doing lately? He ain't been hitting no home runs lately. Okay, he's had 2 home runs in the last 10, 12 games. Do you not believe timing matters in things? As your team is trying to ascend to the postseason, you want to be ascending right, playing your best ball. He's not. He's playing solid, don't get it twisted, but he's not. Shohei, on the other hand, is literally setting world records and trends and doing things we've never seen before.
No, but there you go.
On the way up.
You just saying this, and this is the thing. I get the 50-50, the 50-50
I ain't just
club.
talking about that, though.
But nothing else. Other than the 50-50, nothing else.
No, but
Aaron Judge hit 62 home runs, right? Mm-hmm. Ohtani doesn't have 60 home runs.
Can
People
Aaron Judge?
like we've
can
never
Aaron
seen
Judge
a season like
Aaron
him.
Judge is very athletic. Can he steal 50+ bases?
He's not a base stealer.
Okay, guess who is?
But he plays center field every day. Can you imagine being
true.
Center field every day? He's a really good center fielder. Okay, not Gold Glove, but he's a really good center fielder.
Agreed.
And he's batting 320. He's not batting 292. He's batting 320 as a power hitter.
292. Under expectations, where I just got almost $750 million. I live up. Oh, I lied. I exceeded those expectations. I'm recovering from Tommy John surgery, but they won't say it's Tommy John surgery.
But that doesn't have anything to do with him hitting,
meaning it does in that he's still recovering from a major injury. And then also, you might not even have seen the best of him, and that he might actually win 20 games next year while hitting another 50 home runs.
That.
Let me tell you why it matters.
Next year, you talk about what he might win.
I'm going to tell you why it matters.
Better season this year. Go ahead, tell me why.
Shohei Ohtani.
No,
because
he
you know
has
why,
not.
Rob?
Oh my
and
God.
Rob Parker, you've been writing sports for years. You know what you seem to forget about?
What's that?
Is storylines and narratives. And sometimes we want more than just simply numbers. You want a storyline. I want to hear about the guy that goes to this big team, the Dodgers. I want to hear about $750 million. You exceed expectations.
Wait a minute. The Dodgers that have won 11 of the last 12 NL West titles without Ohtani, they were already winning. I'm saying
you come to the bright lights and you succeed. He could have fumbled. He could have failed.
With that lineup, what is there to fail on?
Oh, let's not act like the Yankees ain't had lineups too for your boy Aaron Judge. Come on now. Let's not act like Aaron Judge ain't been out there ISO and solo. He has not been by himself. You just told me Soho's supposed to be getting $500 million, and it's easy money. He should get it. Come on now. Now back to what I'm saying. It's the man is creating storylines. Fox Sports Radio, Rod Parker, Kelvin Washington. It is the Odd Couple on a Magic City Monday. Thank you for rocking with your boys. We appreciate it. Coming to you live from the TireRack.com studios. Our thanks to Rapid Radios, the official communication device of Fox Sports Radio. Rapid Radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies with national LTE coverage. For a limited time, go to rapidradios.com and you'll get up to 60% off. Free UPS shipping and is always a good thing, a free protection bag. Add code radio and get an extra 5% off as well. We're hooking the people up, Rod Parker.
No doubt. 877-99 on Fox talking about the fraudulent Las Vegas Raiders. Antonio Pierce, man, what a stinker that was.
Ain't no denying
against the Panthers. We want to hear from you, 877-99 on Fox. Let's go with Josh in Arizona. You're on the Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio. What's up, Josh?
Appreciate you for having me on.
Yes.
It sounds good, Rob. Sound good in there.
Appreciate you, brother.
Yes, no doubt. Yes.
No problem. Now, I will say this. I agree with Rob G, and I agree with Mr. Rob Parker. The Raiders are a joke, and they have been a joke for a while, so no need to waste tax-paying people's time on that. What I will say is the Charlotte, that's a joke. You know, to draft a kid first year out, and he doesn't light up the world when you got rid of his weapons, his offensive line sucks, and he can't, he's running for his life, and he don't light up the world. You come back the following year, and if they had benched him first, since it's a new coach, new system, new understanding, I would have been more inclined to be with that process just to say, hey, look, this is still his team. We're going to bring in a veteran guy. I just want to prove to everyone as a new coach that my offensive structure works. But we know that Bryce will eventually be the guy. But they didn't do that. They gave him 2 games. He came out on a new offensive plan with the same crappy team, didn't do well, and sit him on the bench. And now we got all this chaos. It's a joke. And they won't have no success doing running business like that.
Appreciate you. He's echoing what I've been telling you about this whole situation.
But the only thing you say is, okay, the team stinks, all that. How'd they roll the Raiders?
Because it was the Raiders.
Okay,
that's an easy
what
answer.
it was? So Bryce Young would have rolled the Raiders?
He maybe don't roll them, but he wins.
Okay.
And not to mention, Andy Dalton's been in the game for years. He's a veteran quarterback. Look, if he's your backup quarterback, you're not mad at Andy Dalton.
You're not going anywhere with it.
Yeah, true. But I'm saying he knows how to win.
That.
He's there. He's a veteran. Let this Bryce Young get better. But it's a better situation for him. Sit out, see how terrible the situation is, and then come back better. What else? Who else we got?
James in Georgia. You're on the Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio. What's up, James?
Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm Jay from Georgia. But let me say this right quick.
What's up?
In 2018, you guys started. I was stationed in South Korea. Fast forward 6 years later, I'm back in South Korea. Now, Kevin, you don't took the reins, so I just want to congratulate you, Rod. You've been doing a good job this whole time.
Oh, thank you.
I appreciate you.
Yes, we appreciate
how
you.
life comes full circle sometimes.
Yep, and thanks for your service, too.
Yeah, appreciate you, James.
Hey, appreciate you guys. Yeah, but that was a debacle from the Raiders yesterday. you could be a motivational coach all you want to, but at some point in time, you got to know some X's and O's. The Raiders ain't going nowhere. They made Andy Dalton look like Tom Brady yesterday. Yeah, it was just a sickening performance. That was all I got to say.
It was bad.
Yeah, Bryce Young might be done in Charlotte after that performance by Andy Dalton yesterday, because I don't see how they can come back to him. So that's all I wanted to say, guys. Appreciate you, and congrats on all your success.
Thank you, James.
Thank you, James.
Yep,
I tell you what,
appreciate that.
man, remember I told you that you might be 2-1 at best with your Shekel City?
It's 19 to 3.
Yeah, it's about to be 20
Okay,
to
still
3.
early. Ennis.
It's the Jags.
That's how I am. I'm a gal. It's early.
Okay.
Ennis
I'm
in
rooting-
Corona,
listen, I'm rooting for
California.
you.
You know, I need some shekels.
I'm rooting for you.
You're on the Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio. What's up, Ennis?
Hey, what's up, guys? Great show as always.
Thank you, buddy.
And shout out to James for his service. Thank you for your service.
No doubt,
no,
man.
Hopefully he's still
No
listening.
doubt.
Yeah.
Hopefully
My
he's
brother
still
was in the
listening, yeah.
military. My dad was in the military. I don't have those kind of. I couldn't do it, but I
Yeah.
love
Well, you
those
made a
guys.
wise decision.
Yes.
But we
Yeah.
appreciate your family.
Rob's putting people through college. You know, he
That's
can't be
right.
going
That's
overseas.
right.
You know,
You
Exactly.
are serving in a different way.
I am.
You are serving in a different
I used
way.
to tell Chris I'm doing God's work just in a different way.
I don't know if I'm putting God in it, but the community is thriving. God somewhere looking like,
sir.
don't put me up in that. You know, but shout out to you.
Yep. But real quick, this last week's game against the Ravens was more about the Ravens. They've given up 9 double-digit leads in like the last 3 years. So to call the Raiders a fraud, you would have thought they had to be good. No team with Gardner Minshew as their starting
No,
quarterback.
I
No
get
disrespect to him.
that.
No,
but
let
there's
them
wait a
cook.
minute. Wait,
Let them
no.
cook.
Ennis. The Panthers. That's why they're
Yeah.
frauds, because if you got one, right, you stole that one in Baltimore, then you got to capitalize on a bad team like the Panthers to win that game, and that's what I'm talking about. That's what makes them fraudulent.
But that's what makes them bad, because that's what bad teams do. They go up to the competition, down to the competition, lose here. That's why they're a bad team, because they don't have consistency. All right, Rod Woodson is going to join us in just a bit. Hall of Fame defensive back, Fox Sports Radio NFL analyst. He can help us make sense of all this as well. Right now, what's trending? Steve DeSager.
Steve.
We got a blowout in Buffalo. The Bills have just scored again.
It's 20-3, right? It's early, Steve. There's still 3 quarters, right?
Let me put it this way.
Okay.
Buffalo's had the ball 3 times and has scored 3 touchdowns.
You ain't got to tell me, Steve.
Now, the extra point was blocked after the first
That's
TD.
going to come back to get them. Watch.
Yeah, we're watching.
Okay, yeah. Jacksonville 0-2 and down 20-3 in the second quarter at Buffalo. Josh Allen, 2 touchdown passes and a TD run for Cook, as mentioned. Meanwhile, we got a second game going on. And the Bengals at home went straight down the field with the opening drive and lead 7-0 over the
Now here comes
Washington
Washington.
Commanders. Jamar Chase, 41-yard touchdown catch from Joe Burrow. So now Washington does have the ball, and they got goal to go. The Vikings say tests on quarterback Sam Darnold's knee showed no structural damage, only a bruise after yesterday's injury. Cardinals tight end Trey McBride is in concussion protocol. Chargers safety Derwin James is suspended 1 game by the league for repeated personal fouls. The Packers say quarterback Jordan Love will be limited in practice again with a sprained MCL. 49ers quarterback Brock Purdy is day-to-day with a sore back. His MRI, though, came back clean. There's college football on Fox TV this Friday night. Washington at Rutgers. Saturday, Michigan hosts Minnesota. College football news tonight from The Athletic that Utah State has agreed to join the Pac-12. That would put them up to 7 members. They need to get to 8 to be a real conference by 2026. This would mean the Mountain West is down to 7. Now, UNLV plans to remain in the Mountain West Conference. Air Force will remain
What a
loyal
mess.
reportedly as well. 4 schools are due to leave for the Pac-12 out of the Mountain West in the near future. That includes Boise State. To Major League Baseball, the regular season ends this Sunday. Playoffs start October 1st.
Can't believe it.
The Philadelphia Phillies can clinch the NL East title tonight, and they are leading 6-1 over the Cubs in the top of the 7th inning. 6 great innings from Aaron Nola and 7 strikeouts. Underway at Houston, Houston Astros can clinch the AL West title
Can't
tonight.
believe it.
They are hosting the Mariners. It is scoreless in the top of the 2nd inning. The late game in an hour will have Arizona hosting San Francisco. The Diamondbacks and Mets, each 2 games up on idle Atlanta for the last NL wildcard. And there was a stat that came across last night. I mentioned on last night's show about Shohei Ohtani for the Dodgers. Just in the last 4 games, 5 home runs, and 6 stolen bases, 14 hits in 4 games, and 13 RBIs. And I mentioned last night, you must be thinking, wow, that's one of the greatest weekends ever. You would think. But they went a step further. They said if you compared Ohtani's last 4 games to any other player in the last 100 years, their best 4-game span, career, in each of those categories, still no one could match Ohtani's stat line in all those categories for this past weekend. Even if you look at one player's best 4-game span in each category separately and then pasted them together to try and beat Ohtani's numbers this weekend, he would still be at the top of the list.
You know what? You saw what happened right there, right? Steve looked you dead in your eyes when he said that.
I know he looked over there, but look, let me tell you, that wasn't the greatest game ever, though. They were trying to make it out to 6 for 6. Because Mark Whittenwit had 4 home runs and 12 RBI in a game. And I still think Reggie Jackson's 3 home runs on 3 consecutive pitches against 3 different pitchers in a World Series game is the greatest that I ever saw.
Nobody's arguing about the postseason.
Steve, you agree with me on that one, Reggie?
Yeah, we talked about this Thursday. It has nothing to do with this stat.
Yeah.
No, I know.
See?
But I still like it.
Listen, he's just speaking some sense. Steve, thank you so much, brother. We appreciate it. Sometimes I need somebody else to join me and speak sense to our brother here.
What are you talking about?
And you know who else is about to do that? Rod Woodson is about to do that as well. Coming to you live from the TireRack.com studios, the odd couple, Rod Parker, Kelvin Washington, being joined by Hall of Fame DB, Fox Sports Radio NFL analyst, and you can follow him on X, Rod Woodson 26. Rod Woodson, the man, is here with us. What's up, Rod?
What's up, my brothers?
We're doing good.
How are you?
Man, I'm doing wonderful.
After the Ravens finally won a game, my goodness gracious, they dominated, and then they were trying to make it sweat at the end of that game for no reason.
Right?
But,
yeah, they were trying to make Christmas in September.
I mean, what is going on? They gave away that game to the Raiders. Terrible. Almost beat the Chiefs there. Didn't step on the line, but they dominated in the beginning, and they look like the team that we know that they can be. How refreshing was that to see?
Yeah, I mean, they're doing a lot of good things, right? Offense, man, looks really good.
Right.
I think there's so many different weapons Lamar can use. Lamar looks way faster than he did even last year, even though he won the MVP. I think he looks more like his 2019 MVP season. I mean, just quick and faster than he's been in several years. So that is going well. I think getting pressure on the quarterback, I think that is a good thing. Just I'm a little concerned about the back end. You know, the linebackers and secondary and coverage, they're 32nd in the National Football League in that category, but they're first versus the run. So you know, it's they're doing some good things, but you know, they gotta shore up the back end and make sure their coverage is a little tighter.
You know, Rod, they gotta stick to what they do best. And sometimes I feel like they did it. We talked about it before in the AFC Championship game. Like they step away and they're trying to show everybody we can do this. No, just run the ball. That's what you do. It works. It takes you places. I want to ask you about the Eagles. The Eagles were able to find a way to get a big time victory when they needed it against the Saints. And I actually picked that game, Rob G. You know I picked that. Tell us me about both teams. One, what did you see from the Saints that was different than the first 2 weeks where they're blowing everybody out, scoring 40 a game? And then what about the Eagles finally getting a win when they needed it in crunch time, making it happen? Give me something you saw from both teams.
Well, I think for the Saints, they're just playing solid football across the board, right? They met up with another team that's a solid football team on both sides of the table. And I mean, I think the best thing that the Philadelphia Eagles did was to go out and get and sign Mr. Barkley.
Yeah, that the Giants had no use for.
That dude, he's the real deal. I mean, I thought in my viewpoint, in the National Football League today, I think Derrick Henry, I think Christian McCaffrey, and Barkley are the 3 top, and that's not in any order.
Mm-hmm.
I just think those 3 guys are just difference makers. When you can, especially McCaffrey and Barkley, I just think those guys are different makers. And Barkley really is when he's healthy, and I think that was probably the best addition this offseason of any team.
Rod Woodson, Hall of Fame DB, Fox Sports Radio NFL analyst joining us. Rod Woodson 26. If you want to reach out to him on X.
Hey, Rod, I know the Chiefs are 3-0, but they haven't played like it. I mean, Patrick Mahomes, look at his numbers. It's mind-boggling, to be honest, how bad they've been.
So this is a glass half full. Because you can say, yeah, they don't look like it, but they're still 3-0.
Right.
So when they do get to that level, when they do play at a higher level, is anybody going to be able to beat them? Or, I mean, a lot of people are saying, hey, the refs are helping these guys out week in and week out.
Well, there are calls there that
there has been.
And Rod, you know what they remind me of? And I've said all along, I call Tom Brady the load. The Patriots, they get all the breaks, that against the Raiders. When Tom Brady fumbled the ball,
the tuck rule,
right? The tuck rule. I mean, that changed everything. It really.
There's no arguing that.
That was the year they won their first Super Bowl with Brady.
That changed everything,
and that changed everything. But my point is that it looks like the refs are looking. They expect the Chiefs to win. And every time something happens, they seem to get away with something or get a call that they need.
Why you got to be upset about it, Rob? Why you can't
because it's not fair.
They do, but I'm gonna tell you something. I called the 3 games so far this year for the Ravens, and they made 3 calls against the Ravens on the backstretch of that game.
Yep.
That was just one. The roughing the quarterback is the worst call I've ever seen since they started that rule of hitting low. He hit him at the waist, didn't even fall on him. The guy threw it like 5 seconds after the play was over. It was the craziest thing. It's like, and that's, to me, I just think, I know New York is trying to let these refs who are on the field make those calls, but it's 2024. When you see it and it's not a penalty, they need to call and say, no, you cannot make that call. And they got to make sure that the refs are making the right calls inside of these games with the new technology and the modern technology that we do have in 2024.
We can't let you go. I feel like we got to put some respect on somebody else's name. We have not done, and that is Sam Darnold. Because we talk about him when he's bad, talk about him when he's down, talk about him when he ain't looking like nothing, Rod. But all of a sudden, team is 3-0 now. They look good. They're scoring a bunch of points. He's looking like the MVP right now. 8 touchdowns and 2 interceptions.
We're way early, okay?
I said right now. Come on, I said right now.
MVP, please.
And then you want to defend Trevor Lawrence. I'll argue with you later. My point to you is, what the heck is the turnaround for him and how this team is looking good right now? And are you buying what the Vikings are cooking?
Well, I mean, first of all, their defense is playing really good football. Donald is doing a wonderful job of delivering the football to his guys. And sometimes for certain players, Geno Smith, right? Sometimes it just clicks at different times in your career, right? And everybody wants guys to come into the league and play great as soon as you come in. And it's kind of unfair to guys to have that growth. And, and he said it, I think it was last week last week he was like, you shouldn't have let me go. So he believes in himself, and he believes that he has the tools, and he has a team around him where he doesn't have to be a Superman anymore. He just has to deliver the football to his playmakers and let them guys go do it. In that defense, they're making it tough on everybody that they play against. So, I'm really happy for him as a player. I like seeing players have success when everybody counts them out, and because I just think different players grow at different levels at different years. And he is showing that he can play in the National Football League.
We're going to revisit this conversation later on in the year. That's all I'm going to say. All
don't
right,
get
Rod?
mad at that man out here looking like an MVP.
Rod, we'll revisit this because you know how it is. Some guys could play a stretch. Can you play the whole season?
Absolutely.
You know that. That's the difference between the really good player and a Hall of Famer like Rod. He didn't have 2 or 3 good games.
Yep, Rod had a Hall of Fame career, not Eli. We'll argue about that later again.
Yeah, we already know that.
Thank you
Rod,
so much.
Appreciate it.
I should have asked Rod, is Eli a Hall of Famer?
No, he doesn't think he's a Hall of Famer, but Rod knows he's making it in.
That's what I'm talking about. Thank you.
Rod, will he make it in, yes or no?
For All-Pro. You can't be never All-Pro and then be in the Hall of Fame.
Thank you.
Rod Woodson.
Thank you, Rod.
Rod Woodson. And he would be the only quarterback with 2 Super Bowl MVPs who's not in the Hall of Fame.
I've never.
But he's never he was never all pro. He was never the best at his
Rod, do you
position.
remember the Patriots?
Sense.
Do you remember the Patriots were 18-0? Do you remember that?
Yeah, but okay, what was their record when they won? When they 9-7 and 10-6?
Thank you,
Rod.
You can go, Rod. Enjoy the rest of your Monday.
Yes,
Rod. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. You are already making sense.
We need a 1-hour show with Rod for the Hall of Fame.
We do.
I'm gonna undress Rod and Kelvin at the same time.
I gotta hit you with the hold-ups button.
I'm gonna give facts. Just because some of the guys who've been voted in this recent years, and I don't like to disparage anybody, but I want to have respect on the Hall of Fame in Canton, and the best players who ever played in the history of football should go in there, not the very good. The very good, then there's going to be a lot of guys. A lot of my boys that I played with when I was with the Steelers, when I was with the Ravens, when I was with the Raiders, they should be in the Hall of Fame too then, if that's the case.
Listen, we got to go, Rob, but I could tell he was about to start preaching. Let me tell you about the Hall of Good. This is the Hall of Fame, not Hall of Good.
We're going to do an hour one day. All right, Rod.
No, we
thank
not.
you.
All right, now.
All right, thank you, Rod. I don't want to do an hour with you talking crazy about Eli Manning. Of all the people I want to do an hour about, even though this is what we continue to do, another hour of him. All right, so I listen, I told you, as Rod was saying, sometimes you got to go to another team, get situated, get good coaching, and be in a good environment. And that's exactly what's happened with Justin Fields. The boy is balling on the field, and it's time for you to admit it. We're talking about it next. It is The Odd Couple, Rod Parker, Kelvin Washington, Fox Sports Radio.